It's an incredible comeback from United in the last 2 minutes of the game to turn it around 2-1. Shades of the Bayern Munich final, maybe
Fergie time.
sort of Fergie time. And it's 8 defeats in 11 for Manchester City. And Pep Guardiola comes out and says, "I'm not good enough."
Yeah. We knew that, really.
We didn't know. I didn't know he was not good enough. I still believe he's good enough.
Yeah, but like we said, he's been struggling to find answers, to find solutions, to find a way of getting the team out of this slump. This was a poor derby. It was an average game from two average teams. Really, that's what it was for 88 minutes or 87 minutes. At the end, the last 5 or so were much better because of the excitement and Amad Diallo and what happened. But for a long time, it was really poor, and that's what City do. They have no clue. They play with no rhythm, no intensity, no really idea and creativity on what to do on the ball. It's actually quite sad to see. For United, they did what they had to do. You knew they would set to defend in the first half, like they did at Arsenal, and then maybe be a bit more proactive after the break. But from a City point of view, it's just sad to see them playing like this.
Okay, we've slaughtered City throughout their terrible run. So I'm going to park that to one side because I want to be positive. It's Monday. It's Positivity Monday.
True.
And I think we need to praise Manchester United, and especially Ruben Amorim, because whatever you think of him, and I think this is a really, really big deal, his decision to leave Marcus Rashford and Alejandro Garnacho, not just out of the starting 11, but out of the matchday squad, takes giant cojones, or whatever the Portuguese term for that is. I am really impressed with it. Now, he did it in a calm way. He said, like, hey, watch everything, and, maybe next week they'll come in and whatever.
They're not training well enough.
This is not normal. Like, this is something that happens very, very rarely. And there's often something behind it. We don't know, there might be something behind it or not. Either way, it's courageous. Because if you get spanked in this one, it's 3 defeats on the bounce, and you're leaving out Rashford and Garnacho.
Yeah, and I guess he's still in that kind of honeymoon period, isn't it? Where he can do whatever he wants.
It wouldn't have been a honeymoon if it had backfired.
I mean, would it have been better with Garnacho and Rashford? I'm not so sure. That's the thing. He knows right now he can he can take the decision he wants. He can play you and me. He can do whatever he wants. He's still he knows that needs time. I think he's got carte blanche to do whatever he wants without really being questioned. That's what I meant by that, I think.
I don't know. I still thought it was an act of tremendous bravery. We know what the media is like because we are part of the mainstream media agenda. And I can tell you, I'm 100% certain that if he doesn't even put them on the bench and he comes out and announces that, oh no, basically saying they didn't train well.
But if they're not good enough at training, why would they be in the squad? I don't understand.
Because you started Mason freaking Mount in place of them, and you don't even have the option to bring them on. I'm sorry. This is what the reaction would have been.
Yeah, but I see his point. He said they're not good enough at training. Why would I take them?
I'm not criticizing his point.
Yeah.
With hindsight, it looks perfectly reasonable. I'm saying it took a lot of courage for ultimately a new coach with an owner who right now nobody likes, with a team that's lost 3 games in a row, that's in the bottom half of the table, to go and make that call, I think is a really, really big call. Whatever else this guy has a lot of personality, and he's very courageous. The turnaround at the back, we saw Amad Diallo played in a different position.
Yeah.
Okay, I had bigged him up all along, of course, so I get this warm and fuzzy feeling. But he was devastating, I thought, in that 10 role. I imagine some games he'll go back to playing wing back.
I think it's great from Amorim again because Ahmed has been his best player since Amorim arrived in that right wing back position, and he could have left him there. And the fact that he's still trying to find other ways and see players in other positions to see if they might be better there, they might suit the team even better. For him to try Ahmed as an inside 10 against Victoria Pilsen in the Europa League in midweek was one thing, but to then do it again against City on Sunday in the derby was even bigger. And again, it goes back to what you were saying about his personality, the cojones, etc. And we said before Amorim arrived that Ahmad had played as a 10 for Sunderland, but that's one thing to do in the Championship with Sunderland and another thing to do in that. But yeah, amazing, really amazing.
And I want to stress too that in the end, if you look at the XG and whatever, and not just with the late penalty and the Diallo goal, United were right there. Jules, we said it was not a very high quality derby. Derbies often aren't. There was intensity. I thought in the first half, especially, though, there was just a lot of inaccuracies, misplaced passes, whatnot. But in the end, even if you take away that kind of late turnaround, I thought United had the better chances. And can you explain to me why that wasn't a penalty, the Ruben Diaz incident?
Yeah, the only reason I could see, because it looks like he misses the. I mean, it's not. He misses the ball and then makes contact with Haaland, almost blocking Haaland's way. Once he's missed the ball trying to kick it.
And you're allowed to do that?
No, maybe Haaland, the way Haaland goes down, maybe.
All right. This is what bugs me a little bit, right? And I don't want to bring it back to VAR, but I will, right? You have a very experienced referee. I don't even know who was on VAR. It's obvious that Taylor doesn't have the angle to see. Taylor's a fine referee. He does not, I know for a fact, he does not have x-ray vision.
Yeah.
So from wherever he was, further up the pitch, he does not have a clear view of it. Taylor can't know if Ruben Diaz got the ball or not. And to me, the VAR should say, look, this could be a penalty. They said, like, look, go look at it.
Yeah.
And this is one of the situations where, I'm not saying you have to have excessive VAR and whatever, but this is obviously a judgment call that the referee needs to make. The referee, not because he's a bad referee, but simply because of the dynamic of the play, is not in a position where he can judge that. I mean, am I wrong here?
I don't know. I think they said, didn't they, it was a get together and
I'm sorry. They said they used a stupid word, which they only use in this country. Oh, it's a coming together. What the hell does that mean?
That they just go for the ball together and clash into each other? I don't know. But what I think was the most interesting in there was the ball from Lisandro Martinez into that space for Haaland there, because it's obviously the same ball that leads to the Ahmad winning goal. And playing that ball, I say, okay, there's no pressure on Lisandro Martinez, who's a good passer of the ball. There's no pressure on Lisandro Martinez. There's a really good run from Haaland that he's not really picked because Diaz is late, right? That's why he's so clumsy in the way he's trying to come across. And clearly that must have been looked at by Amorim and identified before the game, not just after that, but there was clearly there something. And I'm not surprised at all. They tried it a few times until Ahmad scored. And again, from a Pep Guardiola point of view, they never really rectify this kind of pattern from United.
No, and I mean, obviously, City just simply aren't pressing as effectively as they were. I don't think there's any question there. I want to bring it. You mentioned Haaland. I thought he brought a lot of energy. People will criticize his finishing as they often do. I mean, we have one colleague who thinks that, he's just not good enough for United.
Well, I think if you look at the through ball for Bruno in that second half, which is inch perfect, that's a pretty good ball from Haaland.
Ooh, is that the kind of ball Gyökeres could have hit? It's a different skill set.
No. But I think he's better at link-up play than a lot of people make him out to be.
But to me, the other incident which was defining here was the incident with Kyle Walker. I don't want to get excessively moralistic. Kyle Walker is older. He's had an injury. He's come back from injury. Rico Lewis is suspended through his own foolishness, I might add. Walker has to play. He's getting older. There's two things that really bug me here. One is I've had enough of people talking about how fast Kyle Walker is. Like, talk about that in the past tense.
They don't do that anymore.
I mean, they make it seem like he's the greatest. He's like Daley Thompson all over again. And secondly, the incident with Haaland, I don't want to get moralistic, but this is really embarrassing. You're in England.
Yeah, I know.
All those stereotypes about cheating foreigners, conning the referees, all this garbage that people throw out.
Yeah, they go head to head. For people who haven't seen it, they go head to head, but they head against each other. There's no movement from either of them, and then Walker forced to the ground, holding his head.
Okay, this is why I have to ask. Like, he does know there's VAR in this game.
Yeah. Right?
He does realize that. Why isn't that a yellow for simulation?
Yeah, you're right. That's a fair point.
I mean, the referee ended up like, and this is, I get this on my comms, I got this sort of whole dismissiveness. Oh, well, coming together, another coming together, right? It's like, oh, yes, handbags, book them both, move on. I'm like, no. You want to give one yellow card because they get in each other's faces to each? Fine. But then you need to give a yellow card to the other moron for chucking himself to the ground like that. Like, seriously, when foreign players, this really bugs me still.
Yeah, I hear you.
What are you doing? And I think if Pep could have, I think he would have taken him off at halftime.
I think if Pep could have, Kyle Walker would not be playing for this team anymore. I really think he's playing because he has to play him. There's nobody else. I I mean, Kyle Walker should keep a really low profile considering how bad he's been through this whole season. Yesterday, he was wearing the armband. So you're the Manchester City captain. You're already not very good on the pitch. And then you go and do that. Embarrassing, as you said, your own club, your own fans, in your own stadium. It's
And
not
he could have been sent off. How much fun would it have been for City to play with 10 men against 11 in the
I
second
don't
half?
know about, but I don't know. You're just keep the low profile. Don't do stupid things like this when you are struggling like you've been all season long.
He's not the only fullback who acted in a very foolish way. We'll get to the other one later. I'm just gonna just
but
a
at
little
least for him-
foreshadowing. Yeah, his
At
big
least
hair.
for him, he's not a fullback, so he was playing completely out of position.
I wanted to. I think we. When I look at United where they are, he obviously wanted to start Bruno in the deeper position, and then Mount goes off and brings on Cobby. How do we feel about the deeper Bruno? Because we didn't get to see it this game, but it's obviously an idea that he hasn't given up on.
But we saw against Arsenal as well, right? He played deeper in a very similar setup.
So against
which was
better
to defend.
teams, you want Bruno in there in a deeper?
Yeah, because it's against the press. Not that, like you said, the press was very efficient on Sunday, but against the press, he gives you another output to beat that press and play out. He can play long, obviously, and if you've got Holland running into the channels, if you've got the movement from Ahmad, from whoever is the other inside 10, I think that could be good. And then if there's an injury like this, then you can always, or it's later in the game anyway, when you want to attack a little bit more, you push him on because he gives you what we saw on his chance as well. It's a great run. He should finish it better, to be fair. He's one-on-one. But yeah, I think that was the idea. And again, we knew before the game that the first half certainly and the setup for United would be quite similar to the Arsenal one. So start by frustrating them, not giving them anything. And apart from the Guardiola header, really, and the Ruben Dias one on set pieces too, there's not much in the game from City point of view with the ball. Yes, they're clueless now and they seem to have lost all confidence, all rhythm. Everything that Pep seems to have taught them for the last 9 years is gone out of the window. But that was credit to United for setting up the way they did defensively, like they did against Arsenal in that first half too.
I thought Ugarte had a really, really good game, which
It works
I think
for him
makes
that
things
way, sure.
a lot easier. I'm not sure about. I think you give up so much with Bruno playing in front of the back four in terms of his, certainly in terms of his finishing ability, his shooting ability, and also while he's phenomenal on the ball, he's not as press resistant as another guy. I think he has to think about it. Wait, I can't lose the ball here. Whereas if I lose the ball further up the pitch, it's okay. On to City. All right, I'm going to start with some good news. Kovacic is fit again. He's fit enough to come off the bench.
Yeah.
I think he's somebody actually they really, really missed because while the string of defeat started before he got injured, it continued and they almost actually got worse.
Yeah.
While he was out. Are there other positives?
I mean, John Stones was about to come off the bench. I think he could only play 10, 15 minutes. And then when Ahmad scored, Savinho came on inside instead of him. But that means he's, I guess, getting a bit fitter and maybe closer to be able to play again and start again because the injuries are obviously
Akanji out, Ake out.
And like you said, Rico Lewis suspended. But outside of that, I don't see any other positives. I'm not even sure if those two are positives, Kovacic and Stones.
I think Kovacic definitely is. Stones, the guy
it's
plays
just another
like
body,
one game on,
but-
one game off. So
True.
you just don't know what's going to get. But yeah, obviously better than having Kyle Walker
Yeah.
out there in this version of Kyle Walker anyway. I still think this is where you need to figure out how to use Erling Haaland differently than you have been using them when you know that line of Bernardo Silva and De Bruyne and Foden are really, really struggling. But again, that takes time to work on, and Pep doesn't have time because he's playing twice a week.
Yeah.
So that's a mitigating factor. I want to go back to what he said, though, after the game. Oh, sorry, before that. The Mateus Nunes, does he just flip out because he lost the ball? Is that what happens? And
Yeah, I just think I think he wants to make up for the mistake, and then he runs, and maybe I just don't think he expect maybe Ahmad to stop. I think Ahmad was very, very smart in the way he got that penalty. Well, he didn't get it, but like the foul that was made because I think he put his body and maybe stops when Nunes is expecting him to go and either have a shot or cross the ball, which would mean that he could try to block it maybe.
But Ederson had come out at that stage. That's what I don't understand.
Yeah, I think he
Like-
just rushes. I guess it's another body to have in the box. If you're Matheus Nunes, you've just lost the ball, you sprint. And if you look at it, he loses the ball and then doesn't sprint straight. First, like to try to, he's running back and then sees, oh, maybe I have a chance to go and block that shot or cross or whatever Ahmad is going to do. So then you see him sprinting halfway through. And then I think he can't slow down. I mean, it's not funny, but he's quite funny still because at that level, and after the game, Matheus Nunes is like hitting his head with his hand. I'm like, just, there's no point now beating yourself up. Literally, that's what he did. Just think like how, and Bernardo Silva, I don't think wanted to pour more misery on Matheus Nunes.
Yeah, tell us what he said.
Post-match, he said, like, we made mistakes like under 15 would make. We deserve everything that we. I think he meant for the Matheus Nunes double mistake, the poor back pass, and then the foul, but also the mistake made on the second goal from Nunes himself and Guardiola and Ruben Diaz and maybe even Ederson, and nobody putting pressure on Lisandro to hit that ball in the first place. And mistakes that have been made through the whole game, poor passes, poor touches. They literally played like an under-15 team. Bernardo Silva is right. And when you play like an under-15 team in the Premier League, you get beaten by whoever is in front of you.
I want to go back to you always often like to talk about substitutions. I get the fact that you're 1-0 up, you want to see the game out. And then we know Pep does not like to make, he's not one of those, let me use all 5 subs.
Yeah.
But I thought, why not freshen things up when you can see that the energy is falling, right?
Yeah, completely.
You know that you have Savinho and Grealish, different story. Grealish, I think, merits a whole book unto himself. But like, if you want energy, Savinho will give that. If you see that De Bruyne is, why not make these changes earlier?
Yeah,
I'm just
it's a good
second-guessing
question.
here.
There's something else that Bernardo said that I thought was very interesting. He said, when you're 1-0 up in the derby or any game after 87 minutes, and you know you're not at your best, obviously, because you've just won 1 in 10 at the time, see the game out. Just be smart. And against Feyenoord, when they're 3-2 up, so they were already 3-0 up. Then he goes back to 3-1, 3-2. 3-2 up. Grealish gets a free kick like 40 yards away from the Feyenoord goal. Instead of just killing time and killing that game and winning 3-2. He gets the ball, plays the quick free kick to De Bruyne. De Bruyne could easily, so not the right thing to do from Grealish, an experienced player. De Bruyne gets the ball. Instead of going down to the corner flag and just gain another 30 seconds, De Bruyne hit this stupid cross at the far post towards Haaland. Haaland controls it and tries to... It's the most ridiculous passage of play that I've seen from such an intelligent team for so long. You can lose your confidence. You cannot be as intense, as good physically, whatever. But really, if there's one thing I would have told you before about Kevin De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva is them losing their intelligence during game, you would have never believed it. And that's exactly what happened. This team is not smart anymore at all when they used to be one of the smartest teams that we've ever seen in English football. And I just don't know how suddenly Bernardo Silva and Gundogan and De Bruyne becomes like stupid players to make stupid mistakes like that.
We have a quick hit on this later, but you can't escape the fact that City have posted profits of nearly 200 million over the last 3 years. So there's a lot of money sitting there in the bank, even under financial sustainability rules, a lot of opportunity to spend. Is this something that they should be looking at in January? Obviously Julian Alvarez left.
They will undoubtedly sign new players in January, whether it's Zubimendi or Bruno Guimaraes. That's just only 2 of the names that have been linked to them in midfield, maybe even defensively. If Akanji and Ake can't be fit anymore, like consistently, then I'm sorry, go and sign another defender and then say to them, like, well, I can't rely on you because you're always injured. So, I need other bodies, I need other players there because they are light, really.
I think also they really should consider, and I've said this all along, a goal-scoring forward who can either fill in for Haaland when he's not there, maybe take up some time on the wing, play with him, or play with him into whatever. because it's getting ugly and they keep slipping down the funny thing is, after all this, I think they're still only
3 points
fifth.
behind Arsenal in third. Yeah,
I know, which says more perhaps about the other clubs. All right, that's enough of Manchester. How about some quick hits instead?
Let's go, Gab.
Second straight home defeat of the season for Barcelona, who fall to Leganés 1-0. Jules, they wasted so many chances.
So many chances. They went behind early on a set piece. Like you said, for the second home game in a row against a team struggling. So it's not like if they lost to Real Madrid and Atletico, they lost to Las Palmas and Leganés now. And after that, they could not break them down. They could not score. They hit the woodwork twice. Koundé had chances. Rafinha, Lewandowski before coming off quite early, by the way, for Lewandowski. Lamine Yamal got a pretty bad treatment in the first half, but we're still good. Just one of those days. But the problem is, it's just one of those days that keeps happening now, because is it 1 win in 5 in the league?
Yeah, I'm less concerned by this because they created all those chances. And I worry, you know what I say? I worry when you do not create chances. And you concede many. They didn't concede many. No, they just couldn't finish. This is fixable.
I guess so, maybe. But they play Atletico Madrid next weekend. Liverpool go a goal down and a man down inside 20 minutes, but managed to draw 2-2 at home to Fulham, Gab. Glass half full or glass half empty?
1,000% glass half full. A season, I know it's a cliche, it's a marathon, blah, 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 is defined by how you react in times of adversity. And, think about this. Not just that, you could add, they were coming off a really unimpressive performance against Girona. Mm-hmm. You have Andy Robertson, who's supposed to be one of your most experienced leaders, blah, 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 having a brain fart, getting himself sent off. You're already a goal down. He reacts by putting Gravenberch at center back, which I thought, he must really not like Jarell Quansah, by the way. True. And you go back, and they bombard them. Their XG was more than 2.
Second half, they were brilliant.
And even when the Rodrigo goal, first I thought, oh my God, what did he just do? And then I see, there's actually a pretty big deflection on the
I
back.
gave him the back heel goal.
Yeah, okay. Well, the intent was there. But still, that is kind of a free goal to concede, right? If you're Slaw, your narrative out of this is, it was all set up against us and we turned it around. Yeah. This is manifest destiny. This is our season. Of course, they're only 2 points clear of Chelsea, but they do have that game in hand, which can restore a modicum of normality. And also, I think, really, really good to have Elliott back and Jota back, who, of course,
lovely finish
scored
by
the goal.
Jota, and great goal to get to 2.
Still no Harry Kane, and Bayern lose at Mainz 2-1. Jules, this was pretty ugly.
It was. They were beaten in terms of intensity and physicality, which in a way was surprising, unless they maybe felt a bit tired 3 days after a Champions League game. I don't know, which Mainz obviously don't have.
Shakhtar Donetsk when you scored 5.
It doesn't matter so much. Mainz had the whole week to prepare and Bayern didn't have. I don't know, but Mainz was so good, I thought, in again being so aggressive in their face. Didn't give them anything. Didn't stop. They were relentless and they completely deserved to win that game. And I don't know how many teams can play with that kind of intensity against Bayern though through the season. Right. You might try, but I don't know if you can do it for the whole 90 minutes like Mainz did. Credit to them. But I think Company would welcome the winter break, that's for sure.
I thought Mainz got lucky on the first goal, but Leroy Sané scored, I think, minute 42 of the second half. That was their first shot, Bayern's first shot on target the whole game. And by the way, we said this in the summer. Okay, you have Harry Kane. It's great. Harry Kane's 31. He's not the bionic man. At some point, he's going to have to take games off. Why can they not have a plan B that Company trusts? Yeah. We Thomas Muller at center forward, especially at this age, not the same thing.
No, definitely.
They played Musiala there. Obviously, if he plays there, he can't play at 10. And Musiala has a quiet game right now. Yeah. There's very little from Bayern.
Yeah. Atalanta is the top of Serie A with a 1-0 win over Cagliari. Even Gab, are they going to stay there?
Well, it's looking good so far. I mean, I think the Real Madrid game took a ton out of them. They were not good against Cagliari, but he has this luxury of being able to turn to the bench. And look, there's Nicolo Zaniolo who scored the winner. There's your buddy Lazar Samardzic with the sweet left foot. He came on and he turned the game. He's got so many options. Scamacca is going to be back at some point as well. Retegui isn't even starting. Well, he started now, but he's in and out. That depth, I think, stands them in really, really good stead.
10 league wins in a row now. 10 league wins in a row, man.
That's crazy,
That's
isn't
amazing.
it? That's really amazing. But it just shows that, good coaching and so many players who've been regenerated, who came in, maybe were talented, but maybe elsewhere didn't punch their weight. It really is just a model club. And I say this as somebody who does not like Gasperini, as you know. It's time! It's Texter time! Jules, fresh off the double with Botafogo, our intrepid hero, took to social media to troll none other than Paris Saint-Germain beIN Sport ECA mega boss Nasser Al-Khelaifi.
Yeah, they've had a beef for a long time now, them two. PSG chairman, obviously, and Lyon chairman. They faced each other on Sunday night at the Parc des Princes, where PSG were...
Yeah, we talked about this earlier.
Yeah, comfortable winner, as we said. And there were an article in L'Equipe that kind of just pictured the story with all the messages between each other and how they were talking to each other, and Nasser telling John Textor to go and learn how to run a football club and media and stuff like that. Yeah, they don't get on, let's put it that way. When it was the draw for the Club World Cup on December 5th in Miami, they ignored each other massively. They don't want to be in the same room. But at least it's good when they both hate each other. Because if Textor liked Nasser but Nasser didn't like Textor or the other way around, it would be a bit awkward. But at least they know where they stand. They don't like each other. Neither of them like the other one. So it's okay.
The fact that you're leaking a private text conversation, that's a bit naughty, JT.
Because we know it comes from JT and not from Nasser and Khaled.
Yeah, I think we can be pretty safe on that one.
Yeah, exactly. But at least when they face each other in the Club World Cup in the summer, that should be fun. Real Madrid will face Pachuca on Wednesday in the final of the Intercontinental Cup. Gab, another brand new competition?
Yeah, sort of. It's kind of like a rebranding. So,
yeah.
Okay, to take us back to this, remember you had the original Intercontinental Cup pitting the champions of Europe and champions of South America. FIFA rightly said, let's be more inclusive.
Open, yeah.
Let's make a Club World Cup. And then you had the versions that were held first in Japan, then later in the Gulf, where you had the champions of all the confederations, plus like a rando team from the host nation. And basically in recent years, except for 1 year when I think, was it Chelsea under Rafa Benitez that lost? Were they the last ones, or was there somebody else?
No, yeah, that was the last one to lose.
Essentially, the European team tends to always win.
Yeah.
So now, obviously, FIFA then said, let's make an expanded, bigger and better Summer Club World Cup every 4 years. But we're going to keep this, but we need to rebrand it. So they go back to the Intercontinental Cup name. And it's really funny because basically the winners of the different continents face off against each other for these rather corny sounding names, like the winner of South America against the winner of CONCACAF. It's called the Derby of the Americas Cup.
Yeah.
By the way, I think that would have been Botafogo, right?
Yeah.
John Textor's Botafogo got
lost
beaten
to
3-0, right? By Pachuca.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, JT. But anyway, so then then you've got the Asia Pacific teams facing each other. Ultimately, it was Al Ahly taking on Pachuca. Yeah, sorry. 136 minutes, I think, with time added on.
Yeah. Went
to penalties. Pachuca won 6-5. I did not watch the game. I watched the highlights. I'm sure you watched the whole thing.
So there's this Pachuca team is a good team. Like Salomon Rondon plays there. Idrissi plays there. I don't think they are good enough to be able to cope with Real Madrid, even this Real Madrid that we saw the weekend. But yeah, it should be fun.
But I'll tell you what, I think it's a definite sign from Real Madrid that the fact that Vini didn't start shows you that they want to take this seriously and they want to win this. And at least from their perspective, this is not some kind of timpa. Jules, we're not done because we have more quick hits.
Yes.
Chelsea beat Brentford 2-1 to pull within 2 points of Liverpool, though they have played one more game.
Yeah.
Enzo Maresca insisted again that they're not ready to challenge. Does he believe it? Or if you look closely, do you see his nose getting a little bit longer every time he says it?
He has to believe it. Of course, he has to. I think 2 points behind. And we said it last time and we will say it again. We don't know for how long they will be that close to Liverpool. By February, they might be 10 points behind. By March as well, whatever. But for now, they're 2 points behind. Of course, they are very much in it. However, I liked what he said after the game against Brentford when he said, you saw the mistakes that we made today, the way Mbeumo scored, the sending off of Cucurella, which is completely stupid. That's why he said those mistakes show why we are not ready yet to compete. So To be fair, I thought that was a really good point. I still think when you're 2 points behind the leaders, of course you're in it.
I slaughtered Kyle Walker. I can't get Cucurella get away with this, right? When he talks about lack of leadership, you are. I think Robert Sanchez might be a few months older, right? But you are the oldest player on the team. You're the most experienced player. You're the European champion, allegedly, with Spain.
Yeah.
All right, we had the nonsense with the boots and the slips, and you said that wasn't a mistake because he slipped. That's what that was a week ago. And now you get
Great
this
goal, though.
insane yellow card for a completely needless foul where you could have actually hurt the guy.
Yeah.
And then you have this incident where you throw yourself to the ground like some kind of buffoon trying to win a free kick. And then after the final whistle, you go and you get another yellow, which means you're going to be suspended. I mean, leadership.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, realize who you are. You are, we always talk about the lack of older players, lack of experienced players. It's him. So he's got to step up. And I think this is part of what Maresca was talking about too. And by the way, they created a ton of chances. They also conceded a ton of chances. I don't think Maresca's super happy about that, but they're flying. They're way ahead of schedule.
Arsenal are ahead to a scoreless draw at home by Everton. Gab, Arteta thought they should have won it, though.
Arteta is correct in terms of the volume of things that they created and the XG and all and whatever else. But equally, you knew Everton were going to play that way. You knew Everton do this very well under Sean Dyche. Problem with Arsenal is there's a plan A, which is Odegaard Saka. There's a plan B, which is the set pieces with your friend Nicholas. And then there's nothing else for the time being anyway. Martinelli is a ghost of what he was. Calafiori just stepping in midfield, whatever, the guy's injured, so we don't see that. Yeah. Marino, who was supposed to be he's the Odegaard creative alternative in midfield. No, he's not. He's having a really difficult time, I thought.
So far, yeah.
And while it's fashionable for people to just go and blame Kai Havertz, all of a sudden he's not a real striker, which I had on the FC show Saturday night. And it's not the problem. The problem is somebody needs to step up and give them that third and fourth option. And he's not there yet.
Yeah.
It's a wild one between Rayo Vallecano and Real Madrid. Jules, it finishes 3-3. Could have gone either way.
Yeah, it could have.
Though Ancelotti still bullish, says we're still competing for everything. Relaxo.
It's true. It's really tight at the top of the table. And if they win the game in hand against Valencia at the start of the year, they will be top of the table. So, he's right in a way. Although that was a I thought, poor performance overall. I know they came back from 2-0 down and they were 3-2 up, but then again conceded to make it 3-3. No Mbappe, and I'm just noticing that for the second game this season in the league without Kylian, it's a draw against Atletico and it's a draw against Rayo Vallecano. So I don't think, for all the issues that there might have been in this team with Kylian in here and finding the right position for him and all the pieces in the puzzle to fit, I still think that without him, they were not as good as they have been with him lately.
I don't think you can judge this team in any way because this team is getting by on grit because they always stay in games and on star power because you saw the Bellingham header and, of course, that Fede Valverde miracle of physics. But this 4-2-4 with a 39-year-old pulling the strings in midfield, Brahim over on the left, what's his name, Arda Güler on the right, Bellingham as the second center forward. I mean, this is not how he wants to play. It's how he has to play right now. I want to see them as a team, and we're not there yet because guys are out.
Milan celebrated the 125th anniversary with classic throwback jerseys and a parade of legends and Ballon d'Or winners. But Gab, Genoa, and my boy Patrick Vieira spoiled it for everyone.
They did. Now, so the game finished 0-0. Before the game, Fonseca, again, calling people out, calling his own players out.
Not happy with the Champions League midweek game against
Not happy
Red
with
Star.
the game midweek, rightly so. So what does he do? He drops his captain, Davide Calabria, and he drops his vice captain, your boy Teo Hernandez. Yeah. Again, you want to make a big call, then he makes a statement. He plays this kid Jimenez, who's actually really good. He plays Mattia Liberali, who is literally 17 years old, making his debut.
He's 10,
in the number 10 spot. Obviously, Pulisic out. Look, they dominated the game. They could have scored. They hit the woodwork. Should have scored. But it doesn't matter. It's a 0-0. And the fans are really, really angry. I mean, it got really ugly after the game. Many fans are actually with Fonseca. Some fans are against the players. Everybody seems to be. Ibrahimovic walking around before the game got booed. And other people pointing out it's the club's 125th anniversary. You bring all these stars back. Who wasn't there? The owner, Jerry Cardinale. And I think
that was weird. I thought that was weird watching it.
That's important.
Yeah.
Dude, it's coming. You can easily, if you book early, you can probably get a cheaper flight. Just fly in and out. But you have to have some sensitivity for the thing. And now
it's not a good look.
It turned into a really ugly situation. Fonseca has to be careful, though, about picking fights because there's a lot of people there who can flex.
Yeah.
But I say this, there's a big chunk of the fan base who are with Fonseca, and it seems to be this three-way battle between the club, some of the players, and Fonseca. The only living Sorloth in captivity comes off the bench to help Atletico to a 1-0 win over Getafe. 11 wins in a row for the Cholo Simeone, and they're level on points with Barca at the top with a game in hand.
Yeah, I mean, the substitutions did the job again for Sorloth and Molina with a great cross. It's a really good header as well. And at times, they maybe didn't have the mojo that they've showed in recent games. They were still good and created chances. They could have scored more goals than that one against the Getafe team. That every time I see them, and I thank God I don't watch them every weekend because it hurts my eyes. Really does. But I mean, well done, Atletico. And then we said on Saturday evening in Barcelona, they will go there and play this Barca team who's a bit struggling at the moment. So massive opportunity for Simeone, and he has his team now. He keeps the same team, and the subs are doing the job when they come on too. So well done. Tottenham bounced back with a 5-0 road win over Southampton on Sunday evening. Gab, did Ange Postecoglou shut up the haters?
Not really, because frankly, Southampton were so terrible. People are supposed to feel bad for Russell Martin. I don't feel bad for him. He's a rich man. He won promotion in the Premier League last year. He's very handsome. He has that nice beard. But enough. You cannot play this way in the Premier League.
Yeah.
So Spurs took what's there. I like the fact that they didn't pile on in the second half. That would have been totally unnecessary. The tests are coming up. United in the League Cup and I think Liverpool next weekend. That's where we'll find out what Spurs are made of. Yeah. Paris Saint-Germain beat Lyon 3-1 at the Parc des Princes, which means they go 7 points clear since Monaco and Marseille both draw. Jules, were you surprised that he dropped Marquinhos, Speedy Barcola and Gonzalo Ramos?
Yeah, I was a little bit. And to be fair, he started Desiré Doué, who was great in midweek in the Champions League and was the best player on the pitch last night, on Sunday night. Maybe Marquinhos needed a bit of a rest, but this team worked really well.
They got really tired playing against Salzburg for 60 minutes?
I don't know, but they were outstanding. So clearly the choices, the picks that Luis Enrique made worked out. And then Gonzalo Ramos comes on and makes that third goal happen and scores it. So, great night overall.
It was like 2-0 when they scored 2-1. You weren't concerned, squeaky bomb?
No, really. I thought they controlled that second half, really. There's that one shot for Fofana on Marquinhos. Lovely goal by Mikotadze. But, yeah, I just thought they were the better team, and then it showed, to be fair. 10th draw in 16 league games now for Juventus as they held 2-2 by Venezia in Turin. Gab, what happened to all the positivity after the win against Manchester City in midweek?
This is Juventus right now. That's what happened to it. It's not just a 2-2 draw. It's that they went ahead, then we're 2-1 down, and then Vlahovic had to convert a penalty in deep in injury time. This is not a good situation. They're still inconsistent. The build-up is just way too slow. You see what he's trying to do, but it just gets lost, and then you drop points like this, and you get a bad vibe. Third versus fourth in the Bundesliga, and Leipzig overcome Eintracht Frankfurt 2-1 as Benjamin Sesko and Lois Openda get on the score sheet. I think it's 3 wins in a row, excluding, of course, the Champions League, where they always lose.
Yeah, they lose to Villa. Although they probably deserve better. I have to say, Gab, and this game was late on Sunday, which is unusual for the Bundesliga, because usually their big game is on.
Yeah, sorry, can I just say as an aside? I don't need to watch Spurs and Chelsea kick off at 7 p.m. on a Sunday night. As well. It interferes with my normal watching, which is at that time of night, which is Ligue 1, of course, Serie A. No, it's not strictly come down. Stop it. My Eagles, they kicked off at 9:15. By the way, we beat the Steelers. And Jalen was really, really good. But sorry, back to this. Well, I don't want to see this again. Why?
I don't. There must have been a reason, because otherwise they would not put it that way. So. But yeah, I thought it was really good from Leipzig, considering how bad they've been at times very recently. And yeah, Frankfurt have been really good. I know sometimes it can be a bit hit and miss, and they were certainly more miss than hit on Sunday away in Leipzig. But I think it's good when Leipzig play like this. It's just we don't know how consistently they can be at that kind of level. But for now, that was really good, and their form is improving.
Breathing room for Marco Rose.
Napoli go a goal down away at Udinese, but storm back in the second half to win 3-1 and stay second for now. Gab, better from Antonio Conte's crew?
Better result, but they weren't good in this game.
Not the first half, certainly.
Not only did they go a goal down, in the end, you look at the XG, Udinese walloped them. I think it was 1.84 to 0.82. Good news, Lukaku on the score sheet again with a typical Lukaku goal.
Yeah, very true.
And also David Neres.
I know.
Finally showed up. Now, can he string more than 2 or 3 performances in a row?
Not sure.
No, but remember how
he was super sub at the start of the season. Remember, he kept coming on and scoring or assisting, and then he went AWOL.
But remember, like Ajax, we were all excited for him, and then we need him to do something. Napoli need him to do something. Good news is they're still second for now. Obviously, Inter with that 2 games in hand actually. Nottingham Forest strike twice in the last 3 minutes to beat Aston Villa 2-1 and go 4th in the table. Jules, we've made fun of them in the past, but I think it's time to praise the lovable, cuddly Nuno Espirito Santo, and especially the man who makes it all happen,
of course,
Evangelos Marinakis.
Yeah, Evangelos. I mean, they had this little bad patch when they lost 3 or 4, to be fair, against Arsenal, Newcastle and City, and were heavily beaten. But then since that, they came back strongly, and certainly in this game, for a long time, it looked like it was just not going to happen for them. They had that goal disallowed from Chris Wood, even if they were the better team in the second half. And then somehow they turned things around with Elanga, and it was just amazing. So well done. We saw one of the saves of the season from Emi Martinez. He had one in the Champions League. A couple of,
and then he threw the other one into his own net. So
and then he made a mistake. But the one that he did on the Dominguez header was pretty special too. But it was not enough. And I think for Villa, who plays City by the way on Saturday, early kickoff, a massive game. That I never felt that Villa were going for it. And John Duran scored. Okay, great, good for him. But I don't know. There's still something missing, I think.
I expected Forest to go away, and they didn't. They're still here. I don't know. Do you think possibly it's, because of the unfair ban that Marinakis got, because he can't help but spit on the ground, even indoors, wherever he goes, that God is now helping Forest because of the way he was treated? No?
Maybe. Bayer Leverkusen get a big 3 points at Augsburg in a 2-0 win. Gab is still blue-collar stuff from Xabi Alonso, but it's working.
Yeah, this is not a dominant Bayer Leverkusen.
No, he wasn't.
I mean, at least he played 3 at the back, and so Frimpong and Grimaldo didn't have to play as wingers, which I don't like seeing. Your friend Martin Terrier playing up at center forward. Yeah,
which is a bit unusual for him. He's more of a second striker, but he did well and scored.
Patrick Schick coming off the bench. At least presumably he's back to fitness or closer to fitness. They'll need to ask. Boniface will be back in the new year. I mean, I can deal with it better. Obviously, there's no Hoffman as well. We don't talk about him. He's been out for a while. I think he would give them a bit of that alternative. I don't like it when they play like this, but then I'm also starting to think, hey, maybe you need to be able to play like this some of the time. You should still get the results. And maybe Xabi Alonso wants to show that there's this other dimension to how they play as well. Marseille feel to keep pace with Paris Saint-Germain as they let a late lead slip away against Lille and draw 1-1. Jules, are you going to blame my boy De Zerbi?
No. I mean, this was a great game, I thought. One of the best games that I watched this weekend. Great intensity, felt the Champions League intensity was there. And Marseille started well with that goal. That they worked out really well with the famous De Zerbi kind of midfield box, if you want. But Lille came back, and Lille had big chances. David one-on-one with Rulli. Zegrova one-on-one with Rulli. They should have done better there. Marseille had some chances as well. He could have easily finished 2-2. I think the draw is probably fair. But when you're Marseille at home and you concede in the 87th minute an equalizer, it's quite bitter. So I can understand why they're not happy. They're going to Copenhagen. They play in the French Cup in midweek. And the players thought, hey, let's go away all together to be even more of a family. So they go for 2 days in Copenhagen.
To what? Visit the Christmas market?
Yeah, I guess so. To gel.
I love that festive spirit.
To bond. Joe Reyna makes it 2 starts in a row for Borussia Dortmund as they take the lead against Hoffenheim. But then, Gab, Dortmund going to Dortmund.
Yeah, and look, Joe Reyna, and if you're a fan of the U.S. men's national team, you're happy. He starts 2 games in a row. He scores a goal. He's looking better. Now, I do kind of think that Nuri Sahin's approach is like, I've got so many players. who's fit? Let me just chuck something out there and see, what stick to the wall.
Yes.
That is encouraging, but then it's the same old crap late in the game. They get pegged back and they can see chance after chance after chance. This guy, I don't want to pick on a young player. Then it's like, the guy's 21. He's not even that young. Yannick Loers comes in, completely loses the guy for the equalizer on the far post.
That was bad.
And in fact, they could have lost this game. So, yeah, I just don't see any progress from Nouri Sahin. None at all. I don't care where you are in the Champions League or whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, this is week in, week out. This is how we measure your progress, and you're not there.
I agree.
Wolverhampton Wanderers lose at home to Ipswich Town 2-1 in what they might call a relegation 6-point.
Yes.
Jules, this got very ugly at the end with Matthias Cunha and Ryan Aït-Nouri losing their minds.
Yeah.
They're second bottom, and unsurprisingly, your buddy Gary O'Neill is gone.
He's gone. Yeah, he's gone. He threw all the players under the bus, saying that never in his career, which is long of 2 seasons as a manager, but never in his career ever he struggled so much to get his players do the basic. Okay. I think the responsibility is a bit on you as well, Gary. But it's true that it's tough to lose in the 94th minute against Ipswich when they had so many chances to go and win that game. Must have been hard to take. I get that. That doesn't explain and justify why Cunha and Aït-Nouri go mad at the end and then one gets sent off. I don't know how Cunha didn't get sent off either, but he will get a lengthy ban.
You see Cunha taking that guy's glass? Yeah. There's the Ipswich Town security guy.
First, he's like...
He elbows him in the back of the head.
And then grabs his glasses. And to be fair, I really, really admire the reaction from the security guy who stays. Did you see? He stays like, doesn't go mad, stays like that, almost looks and is like, what are you doing? Why would you do that to me? Like, what have I done kind of thing? Cunha, I suspect, is going to be banned for quite a while because you can't behave like this, man.
No, and in fact, the Cunha thing, the security guy's a bit older, but he actually looks, despite the glasses, he looks pretty badass. I could never be a security guy because how the guy
stays calm
and doesn't say, hey, Matthias, why don't we meet outside when this is over, right? And then we'll see who wants to play with who's not. No, because the reality is the vast majority of these people, right? They may be super fit or whatever. Yeah, Matthias Cunha can run away from him. That guy would turn Matthias Cunha into a little puddle of oil, and he knows it.
So Vitor Pereira, the Portuguese coach from Al Shabab in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I wonder who reps him.
But you know what? I was thinking... Gary O'Neill was clearly not Uncle George's choice because if you look at the last 4 managers, Lopetegui, George client. Nuno, George client. Bruno Lage, George client. Gary O'Neill, not George client. Maybe George said, hey, get the English white guy, the bad one.
Right, so then they'll tolerate me coming back and signing more Fabio Silva.
Conceição or Vitor Pereira or somebody.
I like this situation is so... unnecessary, so toxic. I've said this at the time. Wolves fans attacked me because they did well for a very long time. Obviously, when they came in and they had Ruben Neves and Moutinho and whatever. But this is absurd that an agent and that an agency should be part owner of a football club.
I know.
It's just not normal.
That's true. That is true. Como, my boy says Fabregas scored twice in injury time to beat Roma 2-0. Gab, what happened to the Ranieri feel-good factor?
It kind of went out the window, and they totally... Look, I love Ranieri, and maybe... I'm not going to question his choices, but he went there, and he set up to get a point and maybe nick something. So he went with Dybala and El Shaarawy up front. Dovbyk did come on for the second half. But, no Mancini, no Pellegrini. Guy, you want to make your statement. It's freaking Hermoso. Enough. The guy doesn't want to be there. The guy doesn't belong there. 0.34 expected goals with 66% possession. That's what does this tell you when you have so much of the ball and you put together 0.34 XG?
Yeah.
He's got to figure it out. He will figure it out. Again, as you said, Como's 2 goals come in injury time. Let's not get overly excited here, Como, but... Big 3 points for them.
Yeah.
Monaco also failed to keep pace with Paris Saint-Germain as they're held 0-0 at Reims. Jules, I thought they were atrocious against Arsenal in midweek, but they also had guys suspended. And they also had Balogun and Zakaria out. These are pretty important players, right, for Uncle Adolf?
They are. They just look a bit jaded and tired, and they've played in such an energic way that when they don't have that, they struggle, and they probably should have lost this game against France, who were good, put them under a lot of pressure, and they just never found a solution. So again, I don't think they would want to go to Paris and face PSG on Wednesday night. They have to before the winter break. But yeah, they're going through a bit of a bad patch right now. Jens Odegaard scores the only goal as Bologna beat Fiorentina 1-0, stopping their winning streak at 8 consecutive games. Gab, regression to the mean?
I think a little bit because obviously that win streak was a couple games where they had the rub of the green a little bit. Look, they've been through a lot. You had the Eduardo Bove situation. Their coach, Raffaele Palladino, is missing because his mother passed away. We send our condolences. They did not play well. Bologna thoroughly outplayed them.
They did.
Vincenzo Italiano, their coach, who of course was at Fiorentina last year, he went nuts at the final whistle, which they really did not appreciate. And by the way, shout out to Jens Odegaard. He's kind of like a more minimalist version of Odegaard. Right? I think this dude's Danish. Sorry, Scandies.
Yeah, it's not the same. But they're all cousins. We've said that before.
Odegaard. I wonder what the etymology is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Chelsea dropped their first points of the season in the Women's Super League, drawing 1-1 at Leicester. But it's okay because Manchester City lose at Everton, which means the lead actually increases.
I know, but my girl, Sonia Bonpasto, was in for a record because she could have been the first ever coach in the Bundesliga to win their first 10 games in the league.
In the history of the Women's Super League, all
10 wins
5
in a row,
years of it.
Even in the men, that hasn't happened a lot. So it's not just the women. Even in the men, in the Premier League era, it hasn't happened much.
I don't want to go all Steve Parrish on you, but there is such an imbalance of resources that
the fact that nobody has ever done it doesn't matter. It shows you that it's not easy to do. So I would have liked her to do it. It didn't. But like you said, it's not a bad weekend still for Chelsea.
They're still going to walk it, right?
Yeah, I think they will. Union Berlin and Bochum draw 1-1. But Gab, there is a ton of controversy around this game.
Yeah, so with the game tied, it's injury time. The Bochum goalkeeper gets hit by a lighter thrown by the Union Berlin fans. And by the way, producer Freddie, who's an Union Berlin supporter, he's not here.
He's not here.
I wonder
did he send the lighter himself?
Yeah, I think he might have been in Berlin at this game over the weekend. But so anyways, what they do is they stop the game for 20 minutes. Apparently they identify the guy through the lighter or whatever. But then the game restarts, and because Bochum have made all their substitutes, they send the forward,
the goalkeeper.
Hoffman in goal.
Yeah.
It finishes 1-1. Bochum are saying, well, hang on a minute. This game shouldn't have been suspended. It should have been abandoned.
Yeah.
I think
a point.
It depends what's in the rules. I don't know if this is actually covered it's not covered in the laws of the game, obviously, but there should be rules and procedure. But I mean, when they say it like this, if I've made all 5 substitutions and, somebody from the crowd or a foreign object takes out one of my players, the game should probably be abandoned. Or I should get another substitution.
Or something like that.
So I don't know what they're going to do. I do think Union Berlin have a point. On the other hand, guys, it was 1-1 in injury time. They could also, in the real world, definitely make a case. Take the point.
Absolutely.
Sevilla beat Celta Vigo 1-0, but Jules, the story is that this was Jesus Navas' last game. He came off to a guard of honor in the 70th minute and is retiring now due to a chronic hip injury, 39 years young. I honestly, when you look at players and you guess kind of like, all right, which guys are going to have a really long career, I never thought it would be this guy because when he was younger, he was so fast and his game was all about sprints and energy, and he reinvented himself as he got older.
Yeah, as a right back as well. What an incredible tribute he received. He cried and cried and cried. All the family was obviously there. He played 4 years for City, but he's old Sevilla, really, let's be honest here. And I think he's one of the legends of that club. And it's a shame that he could not finish the season. I think there must be something he's leaving now because, as you said, his hip is bad.
I think there's an issue with him not wanting to continue with painkillers.
Yes, exactly, which is fair. Which is
fair
fair. We respect his choice. But 39 years old, 22 or 23 season until because he started really young, as you said. Those 4 years at City, where he was very successful there too, obviously. Great servant to the game, great player, great personality, great everything you want. Well done, Jesus Navas. And we mentioned that a little bit earlier, Gabi, but Manchester City reported a £74 million profit in their latest accounts, which were released last week. And Gab, the haters hate, but except for the COVID season, they made a profit every year since 2014-15.
That's right.
It's pretty good.
Pretty remarkable, isn't it? Now, look, I'm going to let you in a little secret. A lot of their sponsorship comes from companies that are tied to the, I don't
Owned
think
by
this
the
is a
same
secret,
people. Yeah.
which are tied to the Abu Dhabi royal family who own the club. Now, there's a big debate about whether those are artificially inflated with their fair market value. I don't want to get into that right now because, well, hey, there's a whole committee that decides these things. And all these accounts, by the way, have been passed, right? They've been passed by the Premier League, but they've been passed by UEFA. So that part's not really in question. You can debate whether it's fair or not. I'm more interested in pointing out that when you've made 196 million in profit when in the last 3 years, does that foreshadow anything? Does that maybe foreshadow that they thought, all right, we want to have a big pile of money, so we're in a good spot with financial fair play rules so that we can go and spend a ton of money for the new manager once Pep leaves?
Yeah.
Does it foreshadow that maybe we want to fix the books so that if we have to sell the club, or maybe we might choose to sell the club? Because let's face it, Khaldoun Al-Mubarak has a much more important day job than being chairman of this, right? Ferran Soriano is getting older.
Yeah.
Cheeky has already left.
Yeah.
Sheikh Mansour, I think once he's been to the Etihad.
Twice maybe, yeah.
They've proved their point.
Yeah.
So I just find this really interesting because it runs counter to the trends of certainly every other top club in the Premier League.